What is up? Welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host, Hot BFF with two P's, coming to you via the power of the internet from St. Louis, Missouri, joined from Springfield, Illinois by Theory BFF. We are here to review Week 3, go over some waivers, some cuts, talk some storylines. Not a great week for me.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for, at least DFS-wise, it was a pretty rough week for Dan.
DFS was bad. I kept my gambling hot streak alive.
Oh, that's good.
Which I did not bet the pick I told you guys to bet for once, but the one I gave you all worked out too. So, but yeah, gambling hot streak still intact. Won mostly where I wanted to win. Didn't win mostly where I wanted to not win. But the reason I say it's a bad week is because I did not do great in my picks that we gave you guys this week. I was better on the live stream than I was on the episode. Dan, you stayed pretty consistent. But yeah, I went from 8 points the first 2 weeks to pulling in only 2 this week. So if you did the opposite of what I did, you did pretty well.
Well, if you don't listen to Dan, or if you go to the opposite of Dan when it comes to giving up running backs, you have yourself another RB.
So
too.
For perspective, none of my starts of the week were right. The best I did was Peyton Barber at running back 37. I was wrong on, I was right on Royce Freeman and sitting him. McLaurin has yet to play. Way wrong on Chubb. I did not, outside of Trey Burton, who has yet to play, did not get one streamer right. Was not right about John Brown, but I did get the 49ers money line right. Only 2 points for me. Dan fared much better. All 3 of his starts did qualified, although Christian Kirk may be knocked out after tonight. Remains to be seen. He's right at wide receiver 30. Sits, you were perfect there outside of Joe Mixon. Streams, you did relatively well. Well, sort of. You got the Packers.
No,
right.
I got one right.
You got 1 out of 3. And you missed on both your you call it's. Arizona covered that plus. Arizona covered that plus 2. Or Carolina covered that plus 2.5 by a bit.
Yeah, it was that was an ugly, that was such an ugly game, man.
Yeah. All right, so I have lost, which means you get to tell me what I am drinking on Wednesday or Monday when you're back. I'll let you pick.
Whatever works for you. We'll figure it out later.
Whatever works for me.
Whatever works for you. I mean, in terms of which day you want to drink on.
Oh, what am I drinking?
Let's go with fuck. Can't put me on. Colt 45.
Colt 45. All right. Yeah. All right. I got Colt 45 going for me on Monday or Wednesday. You can follow the show at Beerfield FF. Didn't say that yet. Beerfield Fantasy Football on Facebook and YouTube. Follow on Log on YouTube to get an answer to all your questions as the show rolls forward. We are a beer-centered podcast, though. And, well, alcohol-centered, really. So, what are we drinking?
What's fueling Beerfield?
All right. Dan has our first returning beer year over year. So different beers change when there's seasonal releases sometimes. So, Dan, you got Zoka Veza from Stone Brewing out of Chicago.
No, they're out of...
Oh, wait.
Stone's out of San Diego?
San Diego. That's it. What did I think? Anyway.
Of course, Nathan. We always keep it classy with Colt 45.
Yep. All right. You want to give the description of that? I think it was like Mexican chocolate and something else, if I'm right.
Yep. It is an imperial style inspired by the Mexican hot chocolate.
That's it.
Basically with spices and cinnamon and all things of that nature. And spoiler alert, they're all in there. So
I want to say we last had it on winter of last year. No, it was when we were still recording. It was before I moved. It might have been winter of the year before.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you remembered. I thought maybe we did, but I wasn't sure.
I weirdly remember most of what I drank or what I've had.
That's probably a good thing because I don't.
So we're switching gears for me this week. I'm drinking an Oktoberfest from Brooklyn Brewing out of Utica, New York. So Brooklyn has been on the show before, not with this particular beer, but their Defender IPA is one of my more favorite drinks. So yeah. 4 reviews coming up later in the show. Let's get to the news. not a whole lot in terms of regular news to report. So 3 main things. One of them is the Antonio Brown news, which I didn't write down. But the Patriots cut Antonio Brown, which, unless you've been living under a rock, you're aware of by now. I'll have more on Brown coming up in a later segment. So gonna hold that for now. But allegations caught up to him. Again, there was another sexual assault allegation that came out that preceded this. And then he went on a Twitter tirade about how owners can just void whatever guaranteed money they want to. He's had $40 million voided, playing the victim card, basically.
Yeah, it's odd. Man.
Yeah.
The Madden curse has owned him pretty hard here over the last year.
Yeah, Madden taking it to a new level. More on that in just a minute as far as what you should do with Antonio Brown. The Cardinals cut wide receiver Michael Crabtree. He did not do a whole lot while he was there. Not sure where he's going to end up or land, or if he's done.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, it was nice to see him in Arizona. It was nice to see him get a chance in Arizona because you figured that they're going to play the most snaps. He doesn't have a whole lot to beat out, and he still couldn't beat out 6th-round pick Keyshawn Johnson and preseason All-Star Damiere Byrd.
Don't you say bad things about Damiere Byrd.
I don't know. Preseason All-Star caught a touchdown with somehow got his left butt cheek down before his right butt cheek down for a touchdown last year. So
that's pretty good.
Dude needs a chance.
He's been noticeable.
He has been.
The Jets released quarterback David Fales, things that aren't noticeable. That reasoning will become much clearer in our hangover segment where we update you on injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Hangovers.
All right, gonna go ahead and start with Jimmy Graham. He did not practice Monday with a quad or a groin injury. Actually, for these next 3, the Packers just in general didn't practice on Monday, but
Right.
they had to submit an injury report of what would have happened had they practiced. So there you go. Jimmy Graham was projected to, if they practiced Monday, he would have not practiced. Jamal Williams would have been limited with a neck injury. Aaron Jones would have also been limited with no statement there. So things to monitor, really, Jones and Williams more so than Graham, who's, I think I saw the stat earlier, was only on the field for like 42% of the Packers' snaps and hasn't caught a pass since week 1.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton re-aggravated his quad injury. He's going to be monitored as the week progresses. He did not finish out the game on Sunday. However, he put up a nice enough stat line before he went out to make you not feel terrible about that.
Yeah, this has, like, depending on how long he is to miss time, if he misses time, and then just how long he's, kind of affected by this kind of kills Jacoby Brissett, right? Like, he doesn't have his top weapon, and it's really just kind of makes this team look one-dimensional.
Well, yeah, Malik Hooker's gonna miss time. Who's, they're very, very good young safety. Darius Leonard's still in concussion protocol, so definitely going to be some opportunity for some people to step up on the Colts. Marlon Mack continues to look good, but other than that, and stay healthy, knock on wood. But other than that, yeah, this is kind of dire for them.
Yeah, it's I'm even nervous about Mack because now at least Hilton and Paris Campbell and the 2 tight ends can at least keep defenses honest, and that's just stack the box. If Hilton is to miss time,
somebody else is going to have to flash a little bit and take some of that pressure off. But we'll see with that T.Y. Hilton. If T.Y. Hilton can't go, we'll get to see. Jacoby Brissett, not necessarily a ball spreader, but we'll get to see who truly is next man up in this offense. It's been kind of Zach Pascal, but we'll get to see maybe Doyle, maybe Ebron, maybe Campbell, Pascal, Deion Kane, somebody step up. So just watch that.
Yep.
The Eagles also did not practice, but had to submit a fake injury report. So their best guess would have been Dallas Goedert and Alshon Jeffrey were both limited participants. Deshaun Jackson and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside did not practice. So keep an eye on that wide receiver scenario. Nelson Aguilar, 2 touchdowns, which not great otherwise. I think it was like 6 for 40 and 2, which is probably the most Nelson Aguilar stat line ever.
He also lost a fumble too, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, well.
That was a weird too. Like he caught it, he turned his body barely, and the ball came out, and they ruled it a fumble. So
Yeah.
one
Probably
of those really
shouldn't have been.
questionable calls.
Yep. But keep an eye on that situation. Doug Peterson did say he's optimistic Jeffrey's going to be good to go for week 4. So if Arthego-Whiteside can't go, you hope Jeffrey's back. Ronald Darby also expected to miss some time there, their top cornerback. But
were they playing Packers?
yeah, Devontae Adams is going to go off.
That
and
should
Valdez
help out.
Scantling, that should all be just stardom.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Ito Smith is in concussion protocol, hence Devontae Freeman's 88-yard day.
Yeah, right. And I mean, like, it was good to see that at least some, find some success, but I need to see a little bit more.
Yep.
For me to start to feel a little bit better about this.
For sure. Sam Darnold trending in the right direction to play week 5 after battling mono. They are on a bye week this week along with the 49ers, so Jets and Niners on bye this week. Saquon Barkley, high ankle sprain. He's going to be out 4 to 8 weeks. We'll talk about the Giants' offense and the implications of that in our Pick Your 6 segment. Cam Newton out for week 4 against the Texans. Texans secondary, not great. Kyle Allen looked really good.
Yeah, like it's gonna be interesting to see if he, produces somewhat of the same stat line. I'm not expecting 4 touchdowns again against an offense that won't be up to the pace of the Cardinals, but he's made people relevant again. So I'm all here for Kyle Allen pushing Cam Newton a little bit.
2 starts and 1 this year, 1 last year, and 2 really good performances from Allen.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Matt Flynn. Julian Edelman suffered a chest injury. He's not expected to miss time because of it, though.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got there. Let's move to Pick Your 6, talk some storylines, and there are some good ones this week.
Pick Your 6.
All right, I'm going to start because I want to end on your mini buy low, sell high, or hold deal.
No, you are totally a part of this. I would have put a little bit more down. There's not a lot, but you were answering all the questions.
No, I'm going to go ahead and start though with my first Pick Your 6. I'm going to talk Baker Mayfield for a minute.
Oh yeah.
So you're through 3 weeks. He's completed just 56% of his passes and has 0 multi-touchdown games and 5 picks through the first 3 weeks. That's Tennessee, the Jets, and the Rams. It's QB 23 ahead of Cousins and behind Rodgers, which a couple of years ago that doesn't seem bad. So to give it some real perspective, instead of ahead of Cousins and behind Rodgers, he's behind Derek Carr and ahead of Joe Flacco. That also would be a really good segue into your point about Aaron Rodgers. But I guess my point is that the play calling has not been great. Freddie Kitchens is not giving play calling duties to Todd Monken, which doesn't make any sense to me. The offense hasn't found any form of rhythm. Baker Mayfield if you watch last night's game, he's holding the ball a lot. He's escaping to his right every time. He's become very, very predictable as far as how he's going to evade pressure. The offensive line isn't giving him a pocket to throw from, and it's not been a recipe for success so far. So what do you do with Baker Mayfield? I dropped him.
I mean, in single QB leagues, you can totally drop him. He's become streamable, I guess.
That's what I would call him.
Yeah, and that's barely streamable. Like, and this is what happens, when you reach for quarterbacks too soon in single QB leagues. Then all of them are Patrick Mahomes. Actually, none of them are Patrick Mahomes. And you can't be afraid to make decisions like this. We need to see it more from this offense. This is basically just a weaker, almost Minnesota offense where he can barely support 2 very, very supportive receivers and Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. And this also is what happens when you trade away your all-pro, a guard that kind of kept that offensive line intact.
Yeah, it's a very true statement. And the offensive line has become weak. Baker's struggling with it, and he's always escaping to the right, but he's not looking to run either. He's not using his legs for anything. He's holding the ball for too long, not being decisive with it. And it's not working out. So something's kind of got to change there. But you can't be afraid to cut bait in single quarterback leagues, even if you spent high value on that quarterback, especially 3 weeks in if they haven't shown you anything. You kind of got to start streaming. You got to churn. If you got a completely useless play on your bench and you want to churn and still believe you're going to get Mayfield together, fine. But churn for another quarterback, churn for a streamer, churn for somebody you can start in place of Baker Mayfield until he gets this right, because he doesn't. It doesn't get easier for Baker.
No, like the offense, like they need to utilize the short passing game. He's basically become Kirk Cousins. Like I agree with everything you said about him becoming predictable. They hammered it home last night on the actual telecast. It was actually pretty annoying, but also pretty telling, because it was very obvious to see that if he held on, like if the play didn't develop long enough, he's fucked.
Yeah.
The tackles were garbage. Granted, the Rams have a ridiculously good front four. Like, and when you have Aaron Donald, like that's fucking cheap bone.
And he's buying time, and he's buying time to his right side. He's not stepping up in the pocket. It's like when most quarterbacks would step up, he's stepping right, which takes away half of the field from him, basically. And then he's running backwards and doing this little banana run thing and throwing off of his back foot, which, one, is not a good recipe for accuracy. But, I don't know, they got to find a way to protect him more. They got to find a way to get the ball out quicker, and he can't be afraid to use his legs.
Yeah, like he just doesn't trust his offensive line, and
No.
and that's why you're seeing him make the same decisions. It sucks to see, but there's so much talent here. Dynasty, don't sell him in Dynasty.
No, you're fine there.
Hard hold. Just you have to weather this.
Yep. All right, switching quarterback gears. You wanted to discuss Russell Wilson.
Yes, so I'm ready to put to bed this whole Seattle only runs the football and blah blah this and that, and what we saw last year is what we're supposed to know. So he's thrown 105 attempts so far this season. He threw 50 yesterday and 35 in week 2. 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. The running game is back now that he's finally healthy at the start of the season. 15 rushing attempts, had 2 touchdowns, yesterday. So Wilson looks to kind of be on this up and up. The running game is a struggle. Chris Carson lost another fumble. Rashad Penny is banged up. And what we saw when Wilson threw the ball over 500 and some odd times is when the running game really didn't have a focal point. He didn't have a Marshawn Lynch to lean on. Now his next 3 matchups, you get the heavy game pace, high game pace Cardinals on the road.
With a bad secondary.
With the bad, just a bad defense in general. You get a Rams team that when they figure shit out can keep up with any team in the league. And then you get the Cleveland Browns, who I think, can keep up. Seattle's defense isn't good. The secondary is garbage.
The offense has got to get going, though, for Cleveland. And if you're talking passing game, last night, I don't know if you saw the graphic or not, they were starting a backup secondary. Not one player.
Yeah, I know.
A backup secondary.
Yeah, so this team adjusted. Schottenheimer adjusted to what his offense has. And now we have Tyler Lockett, who had 2 targets week 1. Has put up 26 targets in the last 2 weeks. Has he become an every week starter now?
Yep.
Like, do you just throw him out there?
Yep. I think he always was. I think that the week 1 game was a fluke and part of the week 1 freak out, because week 2, week 3 has been good. And that's what we predicted for him. And I think DK Metcalf, you have to consider kind of around that Calvin Ridley level anymore, as long as they're throwing it 30 to 50 times.
Yeah, I mean, that was right on my point. My next question, or I guess the next statement's last question. DK, 19 targets, no game lower than 6. Has been 6, 7, and 6 to start the year. His catch rate is horrible, but he's used downfield. And I agree with you. I think he's now flex consideration plus matchups.
That's exactly what he is he's flex consideration.
Yep. That's I think that's what we got with Seattle. I think if you have Wilson, like, yes, there's going to be games where the running game will lead this. Like, I guess, like in week 1, when the game was like, it's hard to say because they haven't had a blowout game yet, and they had to play a catch up against the Saints, which is perfect for for a quarterback.
Right. So if they end up blowing on the other side, I think you'll see them try to run the ball and grind it out. But that defense has not been great either. So
I don't foresee that happening.
I don't either,
honestly.
So Wilson looks like you're not going to get the last 2 years. You're going to get Wilson before that from here on out. Which, if you guess that, good for you because you got him for a steal. I'll talk the Giants offense for a minute. So let's start with Saquon Barkley. He's out for 8 weeks. I've got to drop him in the waiver wire roulette league where there's no bench. 4 to 8 weeks, but you can't risk that. If you have an IR spot, you obviously hold him. If not, you take up a bench spot. He's too good, too valuable. But Wayne Gallman's going to come in and play, barring them signing somebody. He is the backup. And Wayne Gallman is not Saquon Barkley, so you're going to see no shit, right? You're going to see a lot of what you saw in this game. And it was Daniel Jones coming in and being good. Now, is he going to continue to be great? Is he going to throw for, 287 and 2 every game? I don't know. It was against the Bucs. Their secondary isn't fantastic. But you had Sterling Shepard go 7 for 100 and a touchdown. Evan Ingram 6 for 113 and a touchdown. Darius Slayton was 3 for 82. How does losing Saquon Barkley and what you saw from Daniel Jones move the needle on some of these guys for you?
You're gonna play Evan Ingram. Massive upgrade from Eli to Jones just makes Ingram more playable, and we know what Sterling Shepard is. He's great when he plays, but he gets banged up a bunch. Golden Tate could be kind of murk up the target pool.
That's his last week on suspension, isn't it? Isn't he a 4-gamer?
I think you're right. Maybe week 5 he comes back. With no running game to lean on, especially you can make jokes aside, there is no side grade or upgrade from Barkley. It's a clear downgrade, and that's not a slight to anybody in the league, for running backs, but that is just what Barkley is. This is a good offensive line for the most part, and a bad defense that, as we saw, just got lit up by Tampa Bay. Jones is not going to do this every week, but what Jones seems to me is what Josh Allen was last year. They're giving him 1 to 2 reads max and telling him to just take the fuck off. You're going to get rushing floor. You're going to get some touchdowns like we saw yesterday. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He had 17 in college, and I believe what I saw, he had the second highest spark score. So he's athletic. Now, there's no victory laps to be taken. The whole world shut it on his pick, and he showed up. He played well in preseason. He looked good in week 1 against a very, very beatable Bucs defense. It's going to get tough for him, but they're still fantasy relevant weeks. He's streamable. I think there's some streamableness to him in 2 QB leagues. I'm not ready to buy into it in 1 QB in those 10 to 12 teams.
Well, in Superflex, at this point, you're jonesing for starters, so you're going to go pick him up in Superflex.
Well, he should already been rostered. There's no one in this world believed that Eli Manning was going to play 16 games.
Yep, man.
I mean, maybe, but I didn't think so.
Sure enough. Yeah, I didn't either. So, Daniel Jones, good showing in week 1. Like you said, you're going to start Evan Ingram, plus matchups. I mean, Shepard's going to have streaming considerations, so we'll take when he gets back. As with Daniel Jones, this is an offense that is going to have to throw more with Saquon Barkley not there. Segue to the throwing game. You got the Packers passing game you want to talk about.
So let's talk about this passing game. Let's really talk about Aaron Rodgers and what we've seen from him since dating back to last year.
We know he's right ahead of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. So through 3 games this year, he's averaging 31 attempts, which is okay. 19 completions, 215 yards, which is not okay, and only 4 touchdowns on the year so far. No picks, which is fine. Last year on average, 278 yards, which is right about where he's been for his career, but only 25 passing touchdowns, which was low since he took over the starting role, I think back in 2009. I guess the biggest question here is, have we witnessed the shift from the every week starter of Aaron Rodgers? You just throw him in there. He's a QB2, or he is the QB1 each week, probably QB2 at worst. Have we shifted from that to game manager Rodgers with the strong run game or strong defense? Basically, has he become Tom Brady and Drew Brees of what we've seen the last 2 years?
Right now, yes. Permanently, I don't think so. Okay. I think that part of the problem with what you have with Aaron Rodgers is, one, I mean, the offensive line's still good. The receivers are still coming along. Yes, the defense has been better. Yes, there's a running game there. They're adjusting to a new offense, though, for the first time in who knows how long. And that's, as smart as Rodgers is, as good as Rodgers is, that's not something that everybody around him is necessarily going to pick up on. I'd expect it to get better as the year goes on, but as for right now, you have an absolutely valid point. He is game manager Rodgers, as long as the running game is going to happen. And the wide receivers are becoming hard to trust also. Devontae Adams has not put up a great week yet. Valdez Scantling actually was the more impressive one last week. He's had 2 out of 3 passable weeks, but it's hard to predict. You can't fall in love with the wide receivers. You can't fall in love with Aaron Rodgers right now. Does that shift as the season goes on? Does it get better? Yeah, I would like to think so. Is that the long term? No. I think you're in a kind of valley of Rodgers' career, and you're going to come out of it. I mean, he's still young enough. He's not in his 40s yet. So, he's not Brady's age, Bree's age. He's not even Rivers or Ben's age. So, I think that dynasty-wise, he will come out of this. I think that redraft-wise, though, yeah, you've got to strongly consider week to week what you're doing with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. We're going to piggyback off that just real quick before we move on. I didn't put Adams in the buy, sell low or in the buy low, sell high segment, so I'll just ask it here. Him and MVS have 21 targets apiece on the season. MVS does the lone touchdown. Like you said, it's been a bit gross for Adams to start out. 3 difficult matchups, though. I mean, you can say Denver's defense has been inconsistent, but
he got Chris Harris.
Who's one of the best defensive backs.
And Kyle Fuller
in the league.
in Chicago.
And Kyle Fuller and Rhodes and him have always had good matchups. And
yeah.
Adams has had his number the last few seasons.
That's 3 very tough cornerbacks.
So with that, I'm assuming I know your answer, but with that being said, are we buying low? Are we waiting for him to blow up to sell high, or are we holding him?
Well, if I want him, I'm buying low. I'm not selling low. If I have him, I'm holding him. So,
okay. Well, yeah. Basically, it was: are you going to buy low on him if you don't have him?
Yes.
Are you waiting to sell high on him if he blows up?
Okay. So the answer is yes to all 3 of those.
Okay.
Well, no, you're going to hold him. I'm not going to sell high on him if he blows up. I don't think it's a situation where I'm going to get rid of Devontae Adams. I'm definitely not going to sell low. You're going to hold him right now. He's going to blow up, and you're going to ride that because he has that week-to-week upside, that week-to-week potential. So right now, 3 weeks in, new offense, 3 very tough cornerback matchups. I'm not worried yet.
Okay. I figured that was a good a good preview what the buy low and sell high.
What's your thought on that?
I'm totally buying low. I want me Adams. I fully expect this offense to get his shit together. 3 difficult matchups: Bears best defense, Vikings top 3 to 5, Denver. It has Vic Fangio, who is a great defensive coordinator, now head coach.
Well, those 3,
it's gonna get better. It's got to get better.
You could make an argument for those 3 cornerbacks being top 5 in the league too.
That too. I mean, I'm not super high on what we've seen from Rhodes so far, but Adams. I mean, I expect the passing game to get better. It was just interesting to see what we saw last year and then what we've seen at sort of this year have kind of been the same. Yep. Yards are going to be there, but touchdowns have become lower.
Yep. All right, good segue with the Xavier Rhodes, because I want to talk the Vikings and their offensive game plan. We've seen in 2 of 3 weeks where they've kind of had control of the game what they've wanted to do. In those weeks, Cousins had just 31 pass attempts, no 250-yard games at all this season, and no multiple touchdown games at all this season. Thielen's got just 16 targets through 3 weeks. Diggs has just 12. Cook has just 6 fewer rush attempts than Cousins does pass attempts. And as a team, the Vikings rushed the ball 40 more times than they've passed it. This is the 2017 Seahawks if they're winning games. They've got a strong defense. They want to run the football. They are running the football. They're not relying on Kirk Cousins. They're letting him manage games. That's bad news for Thielen, bad news for Diggs. And, is this what you think most of the year is going to be like in even to positive game scripts for the Vikings?
Yeah, I think this is what they want to be. If we'll see this throughout, barring injuries, of course, and everything else. What was nice to see is that when the game was still okay against the Raiders, when it was still kind of within reach, they still threw the football. I think the 10 attempts is not going to happen for Cousins because you got to get him into some sort of rhythm.
No, the
just in
21,
case
the
if
21
anything
we saw
happens.
this week is more likely.
Yeah, I think what we saw last year, you bring in Kubiak, who's always been let's run a zone blocking run scheme and use my running back, let my great defense do his job, and then let my game manager quarterback do his thing. Now, obviously, with Peyton Manning with Denver during those years is a bit different because it's Peyton fucking Manning. But yeah, I am selling it off on everybody. I don't want Thielen. Like, this is a good week to sell high, kind of. Uh, they're both going to keep having those windows because the Vikings will not always be up. This does not bode well for them if a team gets up early on them, like we saw with Green Bay. The defense is definitely good enough to keep them within games, as see Green Bay when they gave up 21 and then it should have probably won that game, honestly. But I think moving forward, you have to assume or just expect that Diggs and Thielen are very volatile target receivers that will need a big play. They become boom busts. I trust Thielen a little bit more because he plays the slot. He should probably see the most consistent targets, and Diggs is now kind of shifted to a downfield threat.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too. I do trust Thielen more than Diggs at this point, and unless you're playing from behind, it's going to be you have to question starting those guys.
Yeah, and like you can't. It's even hard. It's even hard to predict game script with them.
It is.
I mean, until they play against a really great offense. I mean, Green Bay, well, they got up early, but their offense hasn't been explosive.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead with your mini buy low, sell high, or hold segment.
All right, so great leeway into Dalvin Cook. I'm going to do 2 running backs, 2 receivers, to 2 tight ends. I'm not doing quarterbacks because good luck figuring that out for 1 QB leagues, and the massive value shift in 2 QB super flex leagues is a little bit harder to go off of. If you want to know more of our thoughts on this, just DM us or watch the live stream and then ask us questions if you have some for quarterbacks. But we'll jump into running backs. Dalvin Cook, RB1 through 3 games in half-point PPR leagues is what we base our scoring off of. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns in the season, 1 in every game, at least 1 in every game. Has hit the 100 rushing mark in every game so far, and has seen 60% of the snaps in every game, 2 of which have been blowouts. So even when the game's well in hand, he's still getting work. This may seem easy, but I know people are going to be talking about it. Is he a sell high of where he is right now, or are you just holding and riding the wave?
No, you hold them. We just talked about what the Vikings want to do this season, and that's good news for Dalvin Cook.
Yep, completely agree. All right, moving on. Joe Mixon, another hot topic. He's an RB33 in half-point league so far. Scored last week, but that was with about 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
So there is still a buy low window on him, even though he had a nice productive weeks. Just 88 rushing yards in the season on 32 attempts and only 7 catches on 10 targets, which is okay. So 3 targets a week isn't terrible. And his only lone touchdown was the receiving one. He's in a unique position because I still think you can buy low on him. For you personally, is he a buy low? Is he a sell high after his week 3 performance? Or are you just holding him to see what happens next?
If I'm in the market for a running back too, which a lot of people probably are because that was a guessing game, I'm going to buy low.
Yep.
If I own him, I'm holding him.
Yeah. Same thoughts for me. You can't buy him as an RB1. The offensive line, which keeps losing pieces, I think almost every week. The offense as a whole can produce points, but until we see a healthy Mixon and a healthy offensive line-ish, you're going to have to write out him as an RB2.
Okay.
Receivers. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 1 through 3 games so far. 42 targets to start the season, 29 catches on those, and averaging well over 100 yards. He scored in 2 of 3 games, 3 touchdowns total. It's clear that the offense is funneling those targets through him, with Henry out for the foreseeable future, Mike Williams banged up, and no Melvin Gordon to help balance out this team. I got Austin Eckler, but this is a different offense with him in it. Is he a sell high or hold? Obviously, you can't buy low on Keenan Allen. Are you selling off of him with this massive target share, or do you ride the wave with him too?
No, I'm holding him too. You don't know when Melvin Gordon's coming back. He can, at minimum, carry you to the playoffs, and we've seen him be productive even with Melvin Gordon there. That doesn't hurt Keenan Allen. He's having another great season. We know Rivers relies on him. You saw him finish well last season. I don't see a reason why you would want to sell him if you're in the market for a title.
I love that. I saw a trade happen with him this morning. Traded okay. I don't see how you can give up a guy who's averaging
You've
over
seen
10
a
targets
shift
a
in the
game.
Cowboys offense, and Pollard got 13 carries and 100+ yards last week.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was kind of blowouty, and they might have been protecting Zeke, but I don't know how you can do that right now. Zeke has not been what Zeke normally is, and neither is Bell. So
I completely agree. I thought it's a good point to make. Like, if you're a team starving for a running back and you have Keenan Allen, which is likely your wide receiver 2, if you win wide receiver having to start, I can see why you'd make that trade. But I'm completely with you. I'm not moving Keenan Allen. I would need more because I think this is going to be a continuing trend.
yeah, especially in full PPR.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Mike Evans, wide receiver 7, in just one game, who moved into the top 10. 41 of those points came. 41 of the 52.9 points came in yesterday. Obviously, this is a massive blow up. Before that, though, 6 catches, 89 yards on 13 targets in 2 games with no touchdowns. Now he gets all the downfield targets, but can we really trust Winston to support like 2 wide receivers on any given week? We saw what the shift has been between him and Godwin. Are we still in high on Evans after this week, or are you kind of still holding him?
I'm kind of still holding him, and that's because this is kind of my argument this morning, too, when we got asked this on Twitter about Evans for OBJ. And my thought is that we've seen the Bucs offense improve each of the 3 weeks. Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, they won't play the Giants every week, but
they're not
you
going
have to
to
assume a massive offensive change and game plan is going to take a couple weeks to get get going.
Well, that and it's a confidence boost, right?
Yeah,
but
of course
you don't play the Giants every week. But I think that the Bucs are going to get more comfortable in this offense, and Mike Evans is not a guy that I worry about. I think that if you try to sell him high right now, it's too easy to argue back that the first 2 weeks were crap. So I'm going to hold him right now. I think that the stock will go higher at some point this season, to where if you want to sell him, then you can get out. I think that he's going to at some point string together 2 to 3 decent games, and then you can get out for even higher than what you can after 1.
Yeah, like for me, I think that they're going to keep targeting positive matchups. So we're going to see Godwin. We're going to see. I think we'll see at least one of those 2 have a very good week. The question is, can the other one produce enough to be at least flex worthy? And what we've seen so far, no. So there, for me, I'm going to hold them unless I can get a good offer for them. Most of the offers right now are going to be side grades, like we saw with OBJ this morning on Twitter. But if I can get out on the volatile terms of what Evans may become now as just a deep threat option, basically better Devin Funchess, which is, I know it's insane to say what he just did, but like that's what they're using him for. He can't create separation.
So I think we're good there.
Okay. Do you need me to start over on Olsen?
Yeah, start over on Olsen. Let's just start there. I'll use it as an edit point in the audio. And if you're on YouTube, you don't get editing.
Yes. As if you've been a fan of the show, you should know by now. All right, Greg Olsen, tight end 4 through 3 games so far. He's averaging over 8 targets per game, catching 14. He's got 14 balls on his 25 targets, which puts him second on the team. DJ Moore's got 26, Curtis Samuel's got 24, CMC's got 21. So while he's getting a healthy amount of targets, there's still 3 other players around him getting nearly the same amount of work. So are you selling high on Olsen, or are you holding him?
I don't know how you sell high on a tight end right now. I don't know how you sell a tight end right now that's getting 9 targets a week. I completely agree. I think you got to hold him and ride that as long as you can, because you're not getting anything better in return.
No, I think the Panthers are also top 3 in plays right now.
Yeah,
like I mean, Kyle, and this is still with 2 games of Cam Newton, so it looks like for some reason they become a fast-paced offense.
Yep,
which works, I guess. Last one, George Kittle, tight end 13 through half-point PPR leagues right now. He's got no touchdowns again, but if I remember correctly, he had 2 of them called back against the Bucs in week 1. So They should be coming. This guy, his targets are a little bit up and down. He had 10 targets in week 1. He had 3 in a blowout win against the Bengals and 8 last week. He's clearly the main target on this offense, so he has a healthy lead in targets amongst everybody else on that team. But he also hasn't eclipsed 60 yards yet. Are you buying low on George Kittle? Are you just holding him, or are you waiting for him to blow up and then moving on from him?
I actually just bought low on him, so
I love it.
buy low.
Perfect. Buy low always. That's it.
All right, let's go ahead and put some beer goggles on. Let's see who we're picking up and who we're leaving in the dust.
Beer goggles.
All right, kind of going to take this quick. I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to kick it off with Frank Gore. He's had 10 or more carries each week. Over the last 2 weeks, he's had 33, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 receptions, totaling 28 receiving yards. He's been useful when Singletary's around. He's actually not getting as many touches. It's about a 50-50 split. He's been useful without him. He's got flex consideration every week at a position that there's not a ton of flexible or useful depth. He's available in 58.3% of leagues, so up from last week, but just barely below that threshold. So I'm going to keep hammering this until he's over 60%. Get Frank Gore on your roster. He's this year's Lamar Miller.
Yeah, he's going to be an RB2.
Yep. All right, you had DJ. You had DJ Chark.
DJ Chark, wide receiver threat. If you're looking for a boom bust receiver with a little bit of floor to him, 41% owned so far. Go pick up DJ Chark.
Yep. Also, just remember that his success is purely his quarterback.
Yes.
Shout out
always.
Nick. Shout out Nick. All right, next we got a couple of bottom of the barrel picks. I'm going to start with Preston Williams, who's only 3.2% owned. So he's had back-to-back 60-plus yard weeks on 4 receptions. It's 8 points and half PPR. That's decent floor. I think there's some upside coming as that rapport with Rosen builds, but also as there's a little bit better matchups. He's getting targeted. His next 5 games are against the Chargers, who are missing pieces, but then Washington, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and the Jets. So Dolphins not great. About 3/5 of those defenses, almost 3.5 out of 5 of those defenses have not been good. So it's a pretty good slate coming up for him. Leads the team in targets by at least a little bit, and they play from behind a lot, which means they throw a lot. Had 6 targets the week before last, 5 the week before that, 12 last week. So there's some hungry eyes from Rosen for Preston Williams. They want to get him involved. He's been involved. He's a rookie, so you're not going to see blow-ups, but he is a nice piece to have.
I mean, you saw the report being built during preseason, so
yep,
it's a good call out.
Yep.
Darrell Williams is my next one, and this is only if Damian Williams continues to miss time, and we keep hearing about LaShawn McCoy and him being banged up. He led the team in snaps and touches last week. He just missed out on a touchdown. He was the first one to actually get the goal line carry when they got down there. And he figures to be a part of this offense. I think he had 5 catches for like 50-something yards and another 9 rushes for another 50 yards, 60 yards. So as long as he's getting involved in this team and a team that loves to use multiple backs, apparently right now, throw him out there. 2.5% owned, too.
All right. So. Yep. And I agree with that take on Darrell Williams. It was him that got Damian Williams' touches while McCoy stayed about level. So
I think it's great that it killed Darwin Thompson, which makes me feel
good. All right, I've got a kicker claim for you.
Wow.
So
let's go
for the brand, on brand too.
On brand too.
The number 1 kicker so far this year isn't Justin Tucker. It isn't Greg Zuerlein. It isn't Matt Bryant. It's Joey Sly for the Panthers, who, as you mentioned, are running a ton of plays. They're able to move the football, but not great. He's a kicker 1 through 3 weeks, 3 of 4 beyond 50 yards, and he's perfect everywhere else. So 2 or 3 double-digit points week to start this season. So yeah, if you're looking for an extra little boost to your team, go pick up the kicker 1, who's available on waivers. in he's only owned in 22% of leagues. So that is the kicker one, Joey Sly.
I love it.
So
You watch Beerfield Fantasy for the drunken takes and for the
kicker analysis.
For the kicker analysis here.
All right. Will Disley.
Last one is Will Disley. 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. That doesn't matter because he gets the Cardinals. We all know what tight ends have done against the Cardinals. See TJ Hawkinson, see Mark Andrews, and see recently Greg Olsen. Pick up Disley, available in 63% of leagues at this point. Just go get him. Don't be stupid.
All right. On to drops. I have Antonio Brown as my first one. This is kind of the no dumb moment of the show. He's not playing again this year. He might play again, but he ain't playing again this year. There's teams that want to wait until the NFL's investigation is done. I don't see a reason to hold him in redraft. The investigation likely will not wrap up during this season. I don't know of a team that would want to risk bringing him in right now, and bringing that drama into the locker room and everything that comes with Antonio Brown. So I'm going a little bold here because, again, it's a shallow pool. Own an 81.7% of leagues. That should be lower. Drop, cut bait with Antonio Brown and redraft. You got to hold him in Dynasty. It's like going to be Josh Gordon. The next time he's signed, sell and sell. But I don't think he plays again this year.
This is why the veterans who play fantasy football do well. They drop a guy that someone's going to pick up, hold on the roster for too long, preventing them from making the crucial waiver claim late season. I love it. I agree with it.
Yeah.
Malcolm Brown, 45% owned, so he's reaching that Cups line, but for some reason he's still rostered in a bunch of leagues. Every week he's lost touches, he lost snaps. He's under 30% of snaps last night. This team, I think, it's decided to move away from just running the football more. So which means you can drop the week 1 darling of Malcolm Brown.
All right, James Washington for me. I lobbied to pick him up or keep him. He got out targeted by Deontay Johnson. Just 7 targets over the last 2 weeks, just 37 yards, no touchdowns, and a backup quarterback playing. So steer clear of that one.
Yeah, I'm just playing Juju from that team.
Yep. All right. Your guy, Latavius Murray, is who I initially settled on as my running back drop.
Yeah. He's only in 68% of leagues, which is still shocking to me. Again, a guy who's barely seen touches, 7 in the last, or barely seen anything, 7 rushes in the past 2 weeks. He's only have 4 targets on the season. This is all Alvin Kamara as the team tries to ride the Drew Brees less wave. Drop Murray, he's got no value right now.
All right, and my drop is because I'm scorned, Peyton Barber. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. I decided to believe in Peyton Barber for once, and it's Ronald Jones that I should have believed in. Right process, wrong running back. Just 48 yards, 2 games under 4 yards a carry, and only 26 receiving yards this season. Just 1 touchdown. He was outperformed again by Ronald Jones, and he's got the Rams, the Saints, Carolina, a bye week, Tennessee, and Seattle coming up. Not exactly great for your running back matchups. So go ahead and cut bait with Peyton Barber.
Yeah, he's going to be relevant again, but it's going to be just a fucking headache.
It's going to be a trick.
Figure out Jones and Barber and of running backs I don't give 2 shits about. My last one, Robbie Anderson. Again, it continues he's got a brutal cornerback matchups for it's if you're still holding on hope, I don't know what you're doing. Owned in 72.1% of leagues. He's going to have big weeks coming up, but good luck guessing on that. And the quarterbacks with Darnold has been fucking horrible. There's no reason. He hasn't scored yet. He's posted just besides 1 game against, I think it was in week 2 against the Browns. It's been bad for Anderson. I think it's time to just let that dream die.
Yeah, I would argue against that a little bit. I think he's more of a hold with Darnold coming back. You got to remember, the last 2 weeks have been bad. It's been Luke Falk at quarterback. So
I get that. He's on bye week next week, and I know there's going to be teams desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to be talking about him as probably a pickup, but right now, like I don't see a reason to hold him.
When he turns it on in a couple weeks, you will, but it's also a shallow pool of players to pick from, too, the way that we do this. So,
True.
I see your argument. It forces you to be a little bit bold, and I respect that. Let's do a beer review, and then we'll talk some Dynasty Darlings and wrap it up.
Beer review.
All right, Dan, you had Zuko Feza. Let's see if you can give a more comprehensive review other than it's good, which I think was your last review on it.
There's a good chance that this was from 2 years ago that my review was just as good. So a lot of chocolate on this, 8.1%. So the booze, it's actually masked pretty well by the chocolate on this. You also get a fair amount of cinnamon. You get the peppers from that type of Mexican hot chocolate. When you mix in spices, you mix in cinnamon. It all sticks out in this. This has become one of my favorite dark beers, and I'm in a dark beer kind of mood. So an imperial stout that mask as a hot chocolate with 8.1% booze, I am all fucking aboard this train.
All right, and as for me, I am drinking an Oktoberfest from Brooklyn Brewery. This one straddles that line between kind of the crisp Marzen light type of Oktoberfest and the malty, flavorful ones. It's very, very crisp up front, but there's a hint of that malty sweetness that lingers on the back end. It's not quite as flavorful as like a Sam Adams, which is the most popular one, but it's not, just crisp and light either. It's a pretty good balance between the two, honestly. So Brooklyn, as normal, coming through with a good beer.
Sweet.
All right, let's hit some Dynasty Darlings and call it good.
Dynasty Darlings.
All right, Dan.
I didn't put one down because I ran out of time, but I'm just gonna go back to Bill Disley. If you're looking for a tight end that's gonna give you value this year, that could give you value later on if this team continues to have problems finding a running back, I think you can find some streamer value from. This is me shooting from the hip. So here we are.
Bears have a defensive touchdown off of a HaHa Clinton Dix pick.
They do, and the Redskins are driving.
Yeah. All right. As for me, I'm gonna go with Dawson Knox. So Dawson Knox was a rookie we hyped as a good late round pick, along with Josh Oliver, Kahale Waring. All the talent in the world couldn't stay healthy, and he flashed a bit. He had 3 receptions on 4 targets, 67 yards, and a touchdown. You want to see a couple of flashes from rookie tight ends. You might not necessarily get consistent performance, but you want to see them flash a little bit. It's the second straight week with 4 targets, so Dawson Knox is starting to come along here a little bit. So shout out him, giving you a little flash to kind of validate spending that draft capital on him.
Oh yeah.
He's available out there on waivers, which he shouldn't be, but if tight ends aren't held, Jello mentioned something like that. Go ahead and scoop him up if you need a development tight end or you're going to rebuild, because he has the potential to be really good at best, and Tyler Eifert probably at worst.
I agree.
All right. Yeah, that's all we got for you. Sure to tune in Wednesday, where me and somebody else, or maybe just me, I haven't really figured that one out yet. We'll go ahead and give you an episode of things, starts, sits, streams, etc., etc. So sure to tune in for that. Dan will be traveling for work. You're here Sunday though, right?
I will be here Sunday, and I will be back for your week 4 review next Monday as well.
All right, guys. We will catch you next time. I got a Bears game to go watch.
I got DFS to win, hopefully.
Oof, not me.
I know.